YSN. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're live here from Austintown, Ohio at the Austintown Fireworks Celebration on the campus of Hollywood Gaming, and we are joined by two legends of the game of football and two guys that played with each other at one point and then played directly across from each other in the professional leagues. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Cleveland Browns, Hanford Dixon, from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mr. Louis Lips. Guys, thank you so much for joining.
What the hell? We got a problem already.
What'd I do?
Damn, you say Mr. Louis Lips, and you say him, and then you gonna say Hanford Dixon, you know?
Well,
Dog,
I'm sorry.
Is he a Steelers fan down there?
I told you the table makes sense.
Oh, my! I can tell it right away. But that's all right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon. I'm sorry.
I apologize for interrupting. You know.
Don't worry, you are the Hanford Dixon over here.
Thank you, dog. Thank you. Get some respect on this end. But over there, you know, I mean, come on, big dog.
Guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us. It is a special moment, not only in this community, but you guys seem to obviously know the kind of fans that you have, just devoted, like rabid fans sometimes. When you come to events like these, what are some of the things that you hear, the stories that you hear? I'm sure you've heard stories about, you know, how the guys and gals have been in the stands. But, like, to relive those moments, what is it like for you years later to kind of have those memories come back? Mr. Dixon, we'll start with you.
Well, it's always a good time. I mean, whenever I get a chance, obviously I'll start with Louis and myself. I mean, whenever we get a chance to see each other, obviously we went to school together, and we, like you said, we played against each other in the NFL. But also, you know, to reconnect with the fans, because we know pretty much in Cleveland and the surrounding areas, you know, you're either Pittsburgh, you're either Cleveland Browns, and you could throw the Bengals in there somewhere, but we won't talk about them today. But it's just awesome, man. And the people, I tell you, they just like you. I know you're a Steelers fan. There ain't no way. You one or the other one, and that's the way it is.
That's it. Louis, for you, what's one of the best parts?
You know, I mean, I'm piggyback off of what he said, but the thing I find out is that these people love their football. You know, whether it's rooting for Cleveland or rooting for Pittsburgh, they are fans all the way, 100%. They love their players, and I can recall coming from the hotel on game morning, and these people are in the parking lot at like 8 o'clock in the morning. They got the grills already smoking, they're drinking beer, they're tossing the football all over the place. And I look at these people and I'm like, what is wrong with these people, man? These people crazy. You know, they ain't got nothing else better to do. But now that I'm retired, I find myself doing the same thing.
That's it.
I'm in the parking lot at 8 o'clock, got the grill going, throwing football around. So yeah, you know, I feel it. I feel them. And, you know, I'm just glad and happy that they still remember us the way they do.
Football is a game that just continues to evolve year after year. It feels like something changes. For you guys, what's part of the game that you had when you were in the game that you miss, and what's part of the game that you would love to have back in your day that they have now?
Well, for me, I would say the money, first of all, and then secondly, the passing game. You know, them two go hand in hand with me.
And I agree with you. I mean, the salaries right now are just outrageous. I don't have a problem with it. I'm happy. I'm glad they're making every dime or every dollar that they can make. But you're exactly right. I mean, you look at the game today as far as the defensive back and wide receivers. Defensive backs, we can't do anything to them. We can't touch them. We can't breathe on them. I mean, if you get anywhere close to them, they're throwing a flag. I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And don't get me wrong now. I don't mean I'm not talking about a dirty hit or anything like that. But if you get a clean, hard hit on them, you should be able to do it.
Those receivers got to stay clean, though.
And look this, and you want to hit them hard enough to put them out the game. But only thing we want them out for our game. We want them to be able to play the following week. Let's just take them out for our game, you know.
Yeah, hey, you know what? I watch it, and you know the commentators are saying the DBs are playing man to man, but they're 5-7 yards off. But they're playing man to man. That wasn't like that. I mean, he was breathing the same air I was breathing. That's how close we were together. So, and then we beating each other up all the way down the field. Yeah, it's changed. It's changed for the good or the better for some teams. For some teams, not so. But yeah, I'm getting used to it.
I wanted to ask you this, though. Did you see that contract one of those wide receivers just got? I mean, it's just the money. They get quarterback money right now. You know, the quarterback normally was the only one that's get these big, huge contracts.
Yeah.
But now, oh, my God. And you know, I'm glad happy.
Receivers especially. I mean,
Yeah.
the latest run has been the receivers. I mean, that's got to make you – I mean, I guess how does that make you feel from that standpoint?
Well, I mean, you know, like Hanford said, man, I mean, you know, I'm glad for them that they got this opportunity. You know, but don't forget how you got that opportunity.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
That's
don't
right.
forget how. And
who laid the,
you know,
the path for them.
Yeah, we went through the trenches for them, and they should just be a little bit more, I think, appreciative of what the guys before them set them up to get.
So you guys have one of the coolest stories really in all of football in the NFL. So you guys were teammates in college. You guys were going against each other in college already as a wide receiver and a defensive back, and then you get drafted into the toughest division on two of the best teams in the best franchises in all of NFL. What was that like for you guys, or was it like, man, this guy's like a cold that I can't get away from?
No, I won't say it was like that. We couldn't get away because, you know, we're good friends, and I always followed his career, and I always wanted, regardless of where he played or what he was doing, I always wanted to see him do well, and I'm sure it's vice versa. He wanted the same thing for me. But yeah, it's crazy because back then it was the AFC Central. Now it's the AFC North is the name of the division, and boy, I tell you, and again, I don't have to tell you guys probably know it better than me. When those Steelers and when those Cleveland Browns, when they bump heads, oh, it is a war.
Oh, yeah.
You throw all that other shit out the window, man. It's a war. You know?
It was, man. I mean, it was like, I hated going to Cleveland, but we had to go to Cleveland. One reason for the simple fact that we never, and I'm hitting on what, we never had a great day to play ball. It was always raining, it was always snowing, it was always sleeting, it was muddy with that red clay all up in your face and your mouth and your ears and your eyes. Oh man, it was, and not only that, Cleveland stayed the locker room. I mean, I barely had enough room to put my own jockstrap on, man. That's how tight the spaces was. So going to Cleveland, yeah, I hated going to Cleveland to play.
Well, you know what it was, too, for a long time. You know, we had the Indians, now the Guardians, who played in that stadium, and they played there, and we had to get that stadium ready for a football game. But as a defensive back, we love that dirt. We love that clay because that would slow those guys down. They weren't able to do those cuts, so we were happy about it.
Hanford, last year you talked about at the Curbstone Coaches about how you were so influential. In fact, you were the guy that created the dog pound. For you, years later, that's what they're known by. That's what they're known for. There's no logo, but if there was, it'd be a dog. For you, I mean, going back, how did that start? How did you create that? And what's it like now knowing? And where are your royalty checks? That's what I want to know.
You know, you hit it right on the head. I'm still mad about that. You know, I keep saying, Jimmy D, at some point, the Browns owner's going to write me a job, not them, but the league, you know, NFL properties or somebody. But you know what, on a serious note, I'm really, really happy because this thing is still going. And, you know, the Browns their defense, the whole team, they're the dogs. But when we created the whole thing, we were thinking about the defense mainly because we had the two all-pro cornerbacks, myself and Frank Minifield, two all-pro linebackers, Clay Matthews and Chip Banks, but we just didn't have that dominant pass rusher. So that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to do something to get those guys going. And me being from the South, Alabama, I used to think about the old dog used to chase that cat down that dirt road. See, you guys would know nothing about those dirt roads down in Alabama.
Oh,
I know you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm Louisiana man.
Right.
So I know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how the whole thing came about. So we told Carl Harris and a couple guys, we're going to bark at you. When you bark at you, you're the dogs. Think of that quarterback as a cat. Lay it back and go get him, dog. And that's where the whole thing. And then it was originally for the defense and the defensive linemen, and we did it in training camp. But at training camp, the fans were so close to the field, man, before we know it, the whole defense was the dogs. The whole team was the dogs. Everybody's the dogs now. And let's just – and like you said, they're keeping it going. It's still going strong today.
For you guys in your communities that you represent, obviously Cleveland and Pittsburgh, how important is it for you to stay involved in those communities, doing things like this, but also doing it in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, staying connected to the fans, staying connected to the teams? Louis, we'll start with you.
Well, like I said earlier, man, I mean, it's just glad to be – I'm glad to still be recognized, invited, asked, would you come or would you like to I'm just glad it's still there, and I mean, fans who were born when I played into their parents who watched me play, and to keep that whole thing going. Yeah, man, it's a community affair. I'm sure it's the same way in Cleveland, but I mean, they really, really, really love their players.
I'll tell you this. I absolutely love it, and I'll be real quick with this because just this week, I was over at one of I think it was Shaw High School back in Cleveland. They had like a little football camp, and I was over there, and I spent about 2 hours. Even though we got wet, it was raining, but just to be there with the kids and watching their development, trying to help them grow. If there's just one thing I could teach them that they could take with them to make them a better player or a better person, that's what we like. And so, yeah, it's very, very important, and I try to do it every chance I get.
Last question I have for you. We're a sports network.
Goddamn, I was wondering when you go get to the last question. You the war's out up here. You tell him, Louis. I mean, when you wondering when he was gonna get to the last question, what the hell's wrong with you guys?
We have all these high schools. We have 72 high schools that we represent, that we're the media company for. All these kids have dreams of being where you were and where you are. What advice would you give to them to continue those dreams and to push themselves further and to be professional athletes someday?
Well, all I got to tell them, I'm going to speak for myself. Hey, just keep shooting for your dream, man. You never know what the ending is going to be until you give up, which you can't do that. And for me, I didn't. And I tell this story all the time, is that I was a better baseball player than I was a football player. But it didn't happen for me that way. So when the opportunity came for me to go to Southern Miss, which I'd never heard of before, it was a scholarship to go to school. My dad was a 7th grade dropout. He was making sure that I went to school somewhere, and it happened, And then I made the best of it, God bless my soul, got me a chance to play in the NFL. So just keep shooting, man. Keep shooting. Don't ever give up. And you never know where it'll take you.
Mr. Dixon?
See, Lewis was a baseball player. See, I couldn't play baseball because you couldn't guarantee me that ball was going to curve when it was supposed to curve. So I wasn't staying in there, dog. I was getting out of there. But you guys ever heard of Hattiesburg, Mississippi?
Oh, yeah.
I have.
All right, well, that's where Southern Miss is, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, right down the street from Jackson, Mississippi. But all I can say is, and what I always tell them, what my mom and dad always told me, you can do anything you want to do, you just got to believe it. And I'll say this, I never will forget it, and I still carry this today. I told my son, when I left home, Mom and Dad gave me a Bible and say, son, you keep God first in your life. Everything else will work out. So there you go.
Awesome. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you've done for the sport. You've grown the sport to this day. The Dog Pound. Mr. Hanford Dixon and Mr. Louis Lips join us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you. We'll be back right after this on YSN.